This here is the updated Volvo XC90, and it is a very special review also for me because 10 years ago I presented this vehicle here when it came in the new generation, such a long time. With this update here now, is it still up to date? Can it match the competitors or even be better? And the second most important aspect is this is not a pure electric vehicle, and Volvo was planning to go all electric, but now they saw, like other manufacturers, yes, EVs will be playing an important role in the future, but not everyone is going EV yet. So they still need to offer mild hybrids, also plug-in hybrids, so something where you don't need to rely 100% on external charging. And that's why we have this XC90 update here. So yeah, indeed, the Volvo XC90 is not done yet, but how good is it now? We'll find out everything about that with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the updated front. It's now a cleaner look than before. The grille here, you know, with the new design, it looks now a little bit more alike, you know, when you compare the design of the new models. But I think it's a very cool and cleaner Scandinavian design. Thor's hammer is called here the daytime running light signature. You have it here, and also standard for the main headlamp unit, you have now the Matrix LED in all base versions. You can get this bright design here with the chrome accentuations. There would also be a dark look available actually. Denim Blue is this vehicle color. We also have a bright Dusk vehicle, for example. There it is. It's also a very beautiful color, isn't it? In any case, the length is 4,95 meters or 195 inches. And news also on the technology side. First of all, they improved the noise insulation. We're going to test it also here on the motorway. Behind us here, you see this huge bridge there. This is a bridge that is actually connecting Sweden and Denmark across the Baltic Sea. We'll also drive that here for you here today. This is basically a motorway on the bridge connecting the both countries. Pretty cool actually. Wheels from 20 to 22 inch. These here are the 21-inch wheels, and we also talk about the comfort choices there, because talking about comfort, you have a new base suspension. We have it also spec'd here with frequency adaptive dampening. That is a passive adaptive dampening. That means, like, depending on the frequency of the amp, like of the shock, it's reacting differently. So with the span of comfort and sportiness. And this is then not equipped with the optional air suspension, which you can get for around 2,500 euros. But I think it's a great chance to test a more or less base spec vehicle. There are some extras in it, but usually the manufacturers only give us like the highest spec vehicles because they want to show off what they have. But even more interesting, that we can test this one here for you. How does it react when you don't have the optional air suspension, not the highest engine spec and so on, because there are also some updates with the engines coming up. In the rear, typical large glass design, and there you can see that this car is older because, like the base form of the car is older, because all the new vehicles, they have like these really super tiny windows where you can't really look through. And here you can still see this was built to have space on the inside. And the typical vertical lamps here by Volvo. So interesting that they did some notable updates already from the base facts and exterior features and suspension and so on. There will be more changes coming up on the interior, of course. Turning indicators here in the front, they replaced the Thor's hammer, so that is a cool design. And in the rear, the turning indicators, very interesting here, this new structure. So this dot design, yeah, I think also a nice idea, isn't it? And recently, by the way, we have presented to you the EX90. That one is the all-electric version, so it means they'll go parallel. So this one then for the combustion engine side, mild hybrid and plug-in hybrid. The EX90 then the full electric one, so they can offer both to the market. And to be even more specific about the noise insulation features, yeah, being specific, that's the thing we do here on Autogefühl. So these general dampening measures, like more foam on the inside of the vehicle to reduce the noise level, is for all of the vehicles, like standard equipment. Optional, then you can also go for dual insulation of the windows, and there you can see it, and this is then an optional pack for around 1,000 euros. And it is actually, I can show that to you, not only in front but also here in the rear. There we go, that you have this dual layer, so both front and rear windows, and that is again a 1,000 euro option. We have it obviously here spec'd with this vehicle here, and then we can comment of how much more silent it is. And frequency adaptive dampers are a thing at the moment in the automotive industry. So what we have here in the new base suspension, And they have adapted similar technologies also with other brands and so on. So how do they really work? So when you have, for example, like some cobblestones on the road or like uneven ground, these hydraulic cushions actually are a little bit softer just by physics actually. So they even out these small uneven parts of the road better, so giving you more comfort. However, if you are suddenly quick in the corner, if you're driving sport here, then this hydraulic cushion reacts a little bit stiffer to actually even that one out better, that the car stays more upright and that the wheels work underneath the vehicle. Let's take a look under the hood. Yeah, first of all here this opening mechanism to unlock the hood. This is a little bit weird, but has always been. And it's interesting also how wide it opens. Here, like you can only close it when you grab it at the side. Also very well dampened here underneath. So you have two basic choices, either the mild hybrid engine or the plug-in hybrid. Here, this the B5 mild hybrid engine, or the B6 is also available. B5 with 250 horsepower, turbocharged, or the B6 with 300 horsepower, turbocharged, plus electric supercharger. It's quite interesting. And the acceleration figure for this one here is 7.7 seconds. The European version, 7.3, the figure for the 60 miles an hour figure. So, and then the B6 would be a second quicker each. And the B6 is not available everywhere. It's quite funny, for example, in Germany we only get the B5. The B6 is only for the police, like for special orders and so on, when they hunt some Lambos on the on the German Autobahn, for example. Yeah, and interesting here with the mild hybrid engine is that you now have the Miller combustion cycle, and this is supposed to improve the efficiency. And of course, we'll also test drive that one here today. The all-wheel drive distribution here with the mild hybrid engines is, it is still like a front wheel biased platform. So most of the time you will have front wheel drive. And when you push it really hard, or when you have like traction loss in the front, then also power is sent to the rear wheels, but never that much actually. With the plug-in hybrid, it's a little bit different. First of all, it's more powerful. So you have a quicker acceleration, just around 5 seconds, because there you have power from the combustion engine and the electric motor at the rear axle. So the all-wheel drive with the T8 then with the plug-in hybrid is also done with the electric motor at the rear. This is a very different concept, and that means when it's driving electric, it's a rear-wheel drive one. However, when you have the combustion engine, then it's more distributed. The combustion engine powers the front wheels, the electric motor the rear wheels, and then it's in many situations kind of even. Even if the battery is completely depleted, you will still have like a buffer in the battery, and then you'll still have like all-wheel drive when you need it in like off-road situations and so on. So that's still okay. The thing is with the plug-in hybrid that the battery has been updated 2 years ago, and now they haven't done another update, so it stays at 14.7 kilowatt hours net, and that is in comparison to the competitors a relatively small battery then for a plug-in hybrid. Now to the interior, where the key fob has not been updated, and I think that's sad because yeah, it's not my favorite one, but it's also not bad. So then again, door closing sound. Oh, so I think okay. In the rear even a little bit better, and yeah, you still feel like these are really large doors, classic style. Then inside of the doors, that's pretty nice. Here you have this leatherette surface here on the top part, soft, also nice touch, and then different stylings for the interior decors element. Here, beautiful matte wood. I love that atmosphere, really cool. Soft enough for your elbow right here. And also here this covering, this leatherette covering of the inside of the door pockets. Well done. We hardly have that anymore actually. Also this entry sill badge and steering wheel also with a new animal-free material. And yeah, it's really good, feels nice. You still have real buttons here also at the steering wheel. One left press here to deactivate this speed limit shine, more of this decor element, and also this leatherette dashboard. It's really thick and soft, beautiful atmosphere. These are here the so-called herringbone fabric seats, and they look actually quite cool. And I can just recommend them actually because they also stay passively cool in summer and are also getting not cold in winter. The alternative would also be a Nordico high-grade full leatherette that is also available. We had that in our studio episode, for example, and both are good in comfort. I would actually probably prefer the fabric seats, but some prefer the high-grade leatherette that you can also wipe things cleaner, easier. Optionally, they still offer animal skin. And then here on the front passenger seat, 189, 6'2", enough headroom left. Steering wheel itself, the column, up and down, in and out. Yeah, and you have this typical full-size SUV comfort, good seating position. Volvo also has great ergonomics of the seats, you know, and for tall people it works very, very well. And since we recently had many vehicles which, let's say, are more in the coast-cutting directions, even in the premium segment, I just want to point it out here one more time that this dashboard here with the high-grade leatherette is standard. It's not like a 5,000 euros extra or something like that. It always looks and feels like this. So, and that is really well done, and is another sign of that you can pay attention to details. You can make it animal-free and so more sustainable, and you can really appeal to customers who are car enthusiasts and who are looking at details. That's who we are, at least me and probably you as well. And also at the inside of the doors, this one is also standard. It's not an extra equipment. You also have this soft leatherette covering here. And for example, when I use this bottle here, what you hear is that you can hardly hear anything because it's not like flying around in a hard plastic area, you know. So it's really good to have this covering of the inside of the doors. And I think this is maybe something what this week can set itself apart. Yes, it is not the newest one. It has not the newest technology, although with this update, it is now more modernized. But with these details here, you can appeal to customers who are maybe missing these details in some of the newer cars. Here in the cockpit overview, the key to this update was how does it still look Volvo-esque, like Scandinavian living room atmosphere, but at the same time, how can you implement some updates that it's really now up to date? And I think they mastered it here quite well. Then here you have fabric inside right there, different stylings possible, and the matte wood atmosphere here. Once again, this is also real wood, by the way, different colors available. That is beautifully done. You now have a new touchscreen here. Before it was more integrated but smaller. Now it's bigger, so they had to make it like a pop-up. Then again, you can better access it. It's an Android backend as for this. We're also going to take a detailed look here. Yes, you do not have separate climate knobs. That's maybe something I think is missing, but it was before the same. And you only have like this volume knob. That was the same, you know, like play and pause and the volume control. And then here you can also optionally get this crystalline shifting lever. Inductive charging pad in the front is not cooled, so the smartphone is prone to overheating. Matte wood here also cover for the cup holders. They are also adaptive. And then a lot of space here underneath. This is also where you put your smartphone for charging or for the connection, because the Apple CarPlay connection is wired only. For me, this is actually not a problem because I prefer the wired connection anyway. It's more stable and also the charging is better. The phone won't overheat with inductive charging, so I'm actually fine with that. But we're going to take a deep look here as well anyway. Then the steering wheel itself is not too big, so relatively small for such a big car, but I think it's actually cool. And they also worked, you know, on the configuration. And here the panoramic roof, so you can actually still open that completely. It's a really large one. Option, of course, so that's then the full opening. There we go. And then you can also apply a shade if it's like a very, very sunny and hot day. So there we go. That comes from behind. Also nice, you know, with this tip there. So I feel that the build quality has also been improved here. That's what I at least subjectively feel. Also here you have a nice headliner from the inside that goes all the way until the inside of the A-pillar. Indeed, I have the impression that they paid attention to some details that some other manufacturers don't pay so much attention anymore to. So I'm really, really happy with the first impression of the interior. Or what do you think about this? By the way, to stop the engine, this is this small one here that has remained the same. You move it to the right to start or stop the ignition, or then the engine, of course. And still classic stalks here for the wipers and all for the indicators. So this is more like this classic setup. So the only thing that is missing to me is really like the physical interface for the climate unit. This has all gone to the screen, but it also was the case before already. Then the driver POV here, once again with these buttons you can really press, and the instruments look like this. And when you start up the engine like that, you can have the map view in the middle like this, or also clean, so you can choose that. And then there's also a head-up display available, another speaker from the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, and then the infotainment, you know, this vertical layout and the Android background, so it's like actually easy to read. Here the Apple CarPlay integration with the cable looks like this, so it's a nice integration indeed, so that is still working. And the lower part in here, the climate unit has this 2-layer setup. You have to press this and then the temperature. Yeah, they said it is easier. What they found, I think it's more complicated. I mean, this is a good overview also for the steering heating and the seat heating. I just feel like when I'm driving and then I have to hit this and then this, I think it's too distracting. Yeah, voice command is also possible. Or someone has called me. Good that we have on non-disturb mode here actually. Yeah, I mean, you can get along with it, especially when it's stationary, no problem. But I think there needs to be an easier solution to switch it like while driving. And then here you can go back to the normal menu and some vehicle things you can then here access there, and also these settings here.
It's a little bit slow.
Yeah, it could be a little bit quicker, right? The responsiveness you see here could be better. And what's also cool, you have Google built in, so you have Google Maps as standard, so that's very well usable. So there you can make it smaller or bigger. So it's always cool to have the real Google Maps as the standard infotainment system. And where can we open the glove box? Ooh.
Not in the screen, but there.
There we go.
Oh, a nice sound.
Ooh, chew. About the sound system. Wow, this is
So
awesome.
nice.
This is awesome. Yeah, this is the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, and we can just say, I think it's my favorite one ever in a car. I mean, I'm often getting these questions about this, and this is really amazing. Here, 19 speakers, even more speakers in the EX90, but here in the XC90, 19 speakers. You can also adjust something. At the moment, I have this mode of Gothenburg Concert Hall, which giving you like this.
19 speakers.
That's also nice, right? So here we have this Echo 3D surround sound. I just love that. And you also have a separate Bowers & Wilkins menu like here. And then you can, for example, select this Gothenburg Concert Hall or more the studio, more like a clear sound, no matter, you know, what you prefer. So that depends. And they also can have some like experience things that you can test the sound system. They recorded special songs for that then, that you can get the full potential of the sound system, because it's also always about the source you have. So it begins. The rear part here. Which movie quotation was it? Put it in the comments. I'll talk about it later. Then here, inside of the doors, we also have this nice leather red covering, and there's also, there we go, here, sun cover, and then really beautiful matte wood structure also on the inside, so it's nicely done, soft here as well, and also like the inside of doors has also a cover from the inside, so that's beautifully done. Then we can slide these seats here forward and backward like that. Isofix is on the outsides each here on the second row. You can fold down this here for some cup holders. Yeah, that's actually fine. Now this one, like, I think we had that problem before, right?
Studio, it was,
yeah. So like, sometimes you have to press it twice or 3 times, but like the rest of the folding mechanism is fine. This one here also to fold this part, and you can also see that, you know, the lower part slides forward as well by that. So it's a very cool mechanism, definitely. And you can also slide all of these come on. There we go. Individually forward or backward. So you have in the EU also a 5-seater setup. Then there's, for North America, you only get the higher seat setup, like a 6-seater or a 7-seater setup. Here in the EU, you can pick between both, like 5, 6, or 7. This one, in this case here, the most interesting one, the 7-seater setup. To fold the seats, you use this handle here, and then it goes down like this, and also the head restraint goes down. So they really thought about this top tether here in the back part, by the way. And then the alternative to access the other row is here on the top. Then you have this access, slide it forward, and then you can actually see the 3rd seating row, and no isofix on the 3rd seating row though, so that would have been good, definitely. But then, as for the general seating comfort, here the leg room to the seat as I am driving. There's still some legroom left. Also nice cover here at the back part. Also headroom with 1A9 602, so there's enough space. But you feel that you sit quite high. It is more a children mobile in the rear. You have enough space for tall adults, but yes, but you feel that how they set up everything is that there is still a third seating row and there is still much trunk space. And there was not the biggest emphasis of making this space in the second row larger, and also that you sit quite high and upright. So let's say there are cars that have more base comfort here for the rear parts. This one here is really focused that you can fit many people, and you can also here change the angle of the seat, a little bit more upright, more backward, like this. Yeah, but overall very versatile and also good quality. And I also like the fabric seats here for the rear. Here, by the way, this integrated child seat is also always nice, and then you're also more flexible. So here, if you just need like a little bit more height, when the children don't need like a full child seat anymore. But now the question is, does it make any sense here in the very back? So I mean here, like the space I would still have here, I could maximum go like this forward or something like that. I can also put this one a little bit forward, and we can compare it. And when I now enter the back part, like this, and then I see the comments popping up. Thomas in the third seating row here today. Let's go around. Also took off my shoes that I don't make anything dirty here. So, and when I'm sitting then here, well, headroom is no problem, that works. And legroom, I would say, yeah, like the thing that the couple of centimeters, like an inch, I moved this bench here forward. This did the trick. So I can still sit here. It is barely possible. Yeah, maybe for a shorter trip, but of course the normal use case would not be that you have 7 Thomas in the vehicle, but maybe 1 or maximum 2 Thomas. There's just 1 Thomas. Yeah, and then, you know, like that's the soccer match or something like that, you know, and that you can fit some children here who don't need child seat, but who are not that tall yet. So overall, once again, also really flexible here. Let's check out the trunk or the boot. There we go, electric hatch, and then we have this cover here, and like by that you put in, and like this, then you slide it to this. This is also possible, like this half opening, and because this is also potentially a 6 or 7 seater, here it goes also above that, and then you have here the seat belts secured like that. Yeah, it looks a little bit weird, definitely, but then you can put it in like this, that you can actually still use this top cover then here. The cabin trolley also fits in and it stands upright like that. Here, this one is at the moment in the 5-seater setup. So the length, almost 1.30 m or about 50 inches. That's pretty cool. Then the height here is about 78 centimeters or 30 inches. And the width, also pretty cool. This is amazing. Like, is more than 1.10 m or 43 inches. So very, very well usable. This is old school SUV space. And then these are some additional mats. You can also turn them around to have like the more rugged atmosphere here, so you can clean them easier. So this is all possible, but of course you do not have to use them. It's an option. This is the second one. And then you can see when I remove them, there we go then with the additional seating. So, and there, this one has to be removed first, like this, and like that. There we go. And for that here, for example, to secure a backpack, that's always a clever thing. And you can fold up this whole thing for even more clutter underneath. And there's also this towing hook here. So it's, let's say, semi-retractable. There we go. And let's see, well, I can, yeah, I can pull up the seats from here. So if I'm just reaching out far enough, it is actually possible like this. And even then, you still have some space right here. So it's like, yeah, 60 centimeters or 23 inches. So very versatile. And well, the folding them back again here, this is actually easier. Then the head restraints go away like that. Now we go for the folding workout, like this, really practical with the folding head restraints like this, and they fold really flat, pretty cool. And look at that, yeah, this is a space monster. And the total length then to the front seats, there we can, I mean, look at that, it's even longer than 2 meters. So it's like 2 meters and 10, or like, yeah, it's like over 80 inches. This is Thomas's driving lounge with the Volvo XC90 in this update here. And yeah, this is really actually an emotional ride for me, because it's been 10 years since I've done this introduction of the vehicle. And it comes the heart from there. Yeah, so for a car enthusiast, these can be very emotional moments, because, you know, I've also did some great trips with this vehicle and so on, and it's been such a long time, and it's the first major update here for this one. And wow, I mean, for so long that the car is on the market, that's really remarkable, and it's still selling, actually. And that is that's also one of the reasons we're doing that here today, to try to find out, is it still up to date, and especially here with these new changes. So first of all, the steering feel, you have the rather small steering wheel actually, and the feel itself is rather soft. You don't need any force. Leah would like that. She prefers that when, you know, it's not too hard to steer. It is in the standard soft setting extremely soft indeed, but it's not that it would be dead. It's just that you need to turn it a little bit more around, and then you can change it here to a firmer setting. Then you have a little bit more resistance, and I actually prefer that. And also, for example, if you just want to change the temperature here, you always have to look at it, what you're doing. So not the most practical thing to do here. U-turn, it's actually quite decent, right? So that was good. So you can get along with this one also in the city, although it's of course this full-size SUV. Here with the firmer steering wheel setting, yeah, I feel more comfortable. It's still soft, you know, and it doesn't give you, let's say, the sportiest feeling of the vehicle, but it's also not the like the main intention of the vehicle actually. And very, very interesting here is today, so hardly ever we get the chance from the manufacturers that we can also drive some, let's say, base or mid-spec models, because they also want to, hey, like that's what we have, like the highest spec vehicles and so on. That's why I'm taking another tour here around. So this one here is the base suspension, which now gets frequency adaptive dampening. That's a passive adaptive dampening. So it reacts in according to the impact of the shock absorbers. And I cannot control it here, you know, that they're just having this one setting, but they're passively adaptive. That's then the difference, whereas with the adaptive air suspension, you could actually control it. And we wanted to find out if that's actually fine to go with the base suspension. And so far here, when we're driving slower here, or like city traffic, it's good. And in the air suspension, actually, yeah, you can control it, but it's also an extra feature, 2,500 euros, so do you need to pay that kind of money? So now, first of all, acceleration, we go from 50 to 110, here with the B5 mild hybrid engine. Let's go. So, that's it. I think it's fine, yeah. So, for example, in Germany, we can only get this one. The B6 is already available also in the United States, for example. That would have a little bit more power, same base engine. This one here now, mild hybrid system with the update. That means when I'm on the brakes here now, I can also gain back some energy. And at the same time, I also have some kind of electric boost. So more power, yet more efficiency now with the mild hybrid system. So they're using like this small battery buffer then for this one. I think it's a good step also to make the car more modern. And I think also the crucial point is the plug-in hybrid, the T8, has not been updated as for the powertrain, but these here have been updated. So they more profit from this whole update thing. So far, I feel the suspension is doing a good job. It's not like this floaty air suspension ride. You feel that you don't have that. But I wouldn't say that I miss the air suspension here at this moment. Here driving like 90 kilometers an hour. Blind spot monitor here. When I also hit the turning indicator, then it's also flashing, you know, as an extra warning. Okay, look at that, it's an EQC. Rarely see them. And then we can also set the cruise control, and we can also decide if you want to have just the cruise control or if you want this active steering assist. And here actually the car is also keeping me then in the lane. In the tunnel we can also see that ambient lighting wise that's not much going on actually, a little bit here, you know. But they upgrade that as well here so far. Not too many overcorrections from this, you know, active lane keeping. And we're here in the tunnel, so the almost 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and it's not too loud. So noise insulation wise, good job. There's also one thing they did here with the update. They said they want to keep the noise level a little bit lower. And what's soon going to happen is we are actually here under the Baltic Sea at the moment. We're connecting Copenhagen and Malmö, and we're actually emerging from, like, we are under the ocean now, basically, or under the sea. And now we're going up actually on a small island, which is in the middle of the sea, because they use that one to where you come out of the tunnel and then it dissolves into a bridge. So yeah, very famous building or construction. You can already see it here on the map. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? So this island has been there before, and then they kind of like adapted that one and used it actually for that, because otherwise the bridge needed to be even longer. So yeah, that's a pretty cool thing, isn't it? And yeah, here now when we're going to this, yeah, there were some huge system covers. There you feel sometimes a little bit more from the suspension there. We also have 21-inch wheels mounted here, so the large ones. Yeah, so that's of course not the most ideal for the comfort, let's take it that way. Here no acceleration from 90 to 110. That's it. So yeah, I think power-wise, definitely enough. So can't complain about that. Do not necessarily need the B6 engine. And see here, lane change, for example, it's good. The car is keeping it upright. Back again. Yeah, here now the steering wheel to firmer is better, I feel, but it's not that I would have like a unified feeling of the vehicle. But definitely I have to say, if you go with the base suspension and also with the base engine, I think it's fine. I don't like it when the cars are always like super high spec that they get so extremely expensive, you know what I mean? Now we also see here the large bridge there. That looks cool, right? And it's also nice that you can watch it here on the map. Here, by the way, when you press here in the lower part here, also while driving, then the map becomes even larger. And I've been discussing with the UX manager why you have this two-step design here. So they really said that if you have like plus minus here, people didn't hit that good enough, so they wanted to make it larger actually. I have to say I disagree. I would like to be able to change the temperature here plus minus easier and not click something and then click it in here. Of course, one thing would always be temperature 22 degrees. Oh, well, it's already there.
All right, changing the temperature to 22 degrees.
Let's make it 23. Temperature 23 degrees. Oh, no, I didn't press it. Temperature 23 degrees.
All right, changing the temperature to 23 degrees.
There we go. But I think it's just easier when you can do it, you know, with just pressing a button. Yeah, but that's all software thing. They can actually change that if they want to. Here at 110 kilometers an hour, so yeah, like 60, 65 miles an hour, still reasonably silent. So these noise dampening measures, they paid off. Maybe at some point we can also do a German Autobahn test where we can also like hit the top speed, which is at 180 kilometers an hour, so 112 miles per hour. And they do that for political reasons mainly, because Volvo has decided that that's their maximum, and that's yeah. They don't want to go faster. Only Polestar is allowed to go faster actually. Also here because of environmental reasons, and it makes it also in a way easier for a manufacturer, because then they don't have to care about things that happen above 180 kilometers an hour. You know what I mean? Also really nicely, this covering from the inside of the A-pillar. So I feel this new feeling here in the updated version is indeed more premium, and also very competitive. If you think about also like the large German premium SUVs, we feel comfortable. These fabric seats here are also doing a good job while driving.
And the seat heating is...
Seat heating is really strong. And also the, like here, when you go for the seat heating or the steering wheel heating, I love steering wheel heatings. But if you put it to level 3, it's like burning away everything. So I think it's cool. So you will even feel this is the now we're in Sweden, by the way. So we were just in Denmark, now we're in Sweden. So you can actually use the steering wheel heating with gloves, and you would still feel that. So yeah, very comfy ride here, definitely on the motorway already. Now some more slower driving in the city again. Here also like a speed hump. Yeah, it's actually fine. I mean, for more comfort, you could stick with the 20-inch wheels, so not go for the optional 21-inch wheels. 22 I cannot recommend at all, actually. That will reduce the comfort too much. Here, let's drive to some potholes, and I think it's really fine. So here I find that the difference will not be, do I stick with the base suspension or do I go with the air suspension? If you want to rule the comfort setting a little bit, stick with the smaller wheels. I think that's even more important because the suspension itself is actually fine, and also you don't need to set it up. It's always in the same mode. You cannot actively control it or something, but that's actually fine. If you feel, let's say, kind of discomfort, it would only be in these potholes on the road, some transverse joints. But that feeling is then more connected to the wheels rather than to the suspension. So I really have to say, it feels more elaborate than before. I also, even though the steering doesn't give you the most connected feeling, the steering feels better than in the previous pre-facelift. So I have a better feeling for the vehicle. It feels like more one if you compare it to the pre-facelift, definitely. So a good step there. And although this driving part was never like the most special thing with the Volvo, if you compare like with Audi, BMW, and Mercedes, yeah, we also have things to criticize there. But then usually the Germans, they convince us in the driving part because they're fun to drive, they're connected to drive, comfortable yet sporty and so on. That wasn't the Volvo specialty. It was always giving like this Scandinavian living room atmosphere and like just the relaxation and so on. But here they really stepped up the game in the driving part. I would actually say that maybe it is even better to stick with the base suspension because that one gives you a more connected feeling to the road without losing too much comfort, So I have to say, I'm all the way in for a base setup here of the Volvo XC90. Maybe Volvo doesn't want to hear that on the one hand because they have less margin on the vehicle then, because you are buying a cheaper Volvo XC90 then. On the other hand, it speaks for the vehicle when it's already working in the base setup and you don't have to go for like the highest spec and so on. Here, by the way, also when I go some like right and left at lower speeds, it's actually fine. Car is not shaking up too much, and yeah, as I said, there are cars which have more connected steering feeling, but it's definitely an upgrade to the outgoing model. And that's really astonishing. Started the driving part with, hey, it's been 10 years and this vehicle is still working, and I have to agree, it is working. This facelift was utterly needed. I would really say like the outgoing model, yeah, here and there you feel, and that's like an older vehicle. But here now with the slight upgrades, with the new infotainment system, with the new steering feel, the new base suspension, also
Interior design.
yeah,
is very
interior
nice,
design. Yeah, we really feel very cozy here. So we could very well imagine going on a longer trip. The fabric seats, if you can get it in your market, by the way, are really nice. Probably the best choice also for the vehicle because they are passively cool also and passively not cold in wintertime, for example. Good comfort here. Really like them, and it conveys like this Scandinavian living room atmosphere, premium surrounding, and you can just relax while driving. Yet at the same time, it feels a little bit more modernized. It's calmer than before, and the engine gives a little bit more power, more efficient, and so on. So I think a very, very, very good update. They didn't do it over the top, didn't change everything. I think the T8 needed a change, definitely, yes. Bigger battery, they didn't do that. So that even more speaks for the setup we have here, because here then you profit from the updated suspension, you profit from the new steering set and so on, from the infotainment, and you also profit from this updated engine. Whereas with the T8, the driving impression will be more or less the same pre-facelift and post-facelift. Yeah, better noise insulation maybe, but that's it. But here, in the base spec, the difference between the outgoing model, the pre-facelift, and this facelift here will be larger actually. So that's another argument here then for our spec we have here today. And actually it's always a good result when I don't want to stop driving. Some cars say like, okay, we do that for testing purposes, and then yeah, okay, it's done, let's move on to the next one. And here I would say like, I can just move on and you know, keep driving and we go somewhere nice places and so on. So that's really, really cozy. So what does the passenger princess say?
I agree, yeah.
She agrees.
Thumbs up.
Gets the Leah thumbs up, so that's always a good sign for the vehicle, definitely. Consumption, we could score actually exactly the official WLTP cycle figure, 9 liters on 1 kilometers, so like 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. Pricing, so on the European market, will be around 80 to 100,000 euros. US market is always a little bit cheaper, the VAT is off, but in general, the cars are cheaper in the US, so we'll be more about like 60 to 80,000 US dollars. We don't have the exact prices for that one yet. So it is very competitive, definitely here with the facelift. And I mean, they have done here and here some little things. I think it looks still cool, gives you a very clean design outlook on the exterior and also on the interior. Then especially with the updated animal-free solutions for the interior, very high class, yet at the same time, no using of animal sources. Just some options there. And the driving has also been updated, especially here with the base suspension and also with the base engine. I think it very well shows that you do not have to go for the highest spec vehicle. I think as it stands here right now, it works very well. This is actually a dream spec. It's not too expensive, yet at the same time you profit from all the changes they have done here to that vehicle and you get all the comfort and luxury you need actually. So this one would indeed be a spec I can very, very well recommend. So yes, although the base car is still pretty old, it is still very competitive, a very likable competitor here in the full-size SUV segment. Yeah, full-size for our European taste, definitely. Just on the plug-in hybrid side, not really competitive anymore because the battery size is actually too small. Unless you say you don't really use it that much or something, you just get it for taxation reasons. But I think in this case also the mild hybrid engine is maybe also a nice choice to go for. What do you think? Tell me your comments about the XC90. And now you should check out the EX90, the electric one from Volvo, which would be the correspondent one, or some of the competitors.